Ihyauddin presents Story Time. The Incident of Hazrat Abdullah bin Marzooq, Rahimahullah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hazrat Abdullah bin Marzooq, Rahimahullah, was a pious servant and friend of Allah Ta'ala. He lived in the time of the great Muhaddithin, Hazrat Sufyan bin Uyayna and Hazrat Fudail bin Iyad, Rahimahullah, and was also very close to them. In the beginning of his life, Hazrat Abdullah bin Marzooq rahimahullah was not pious. However, Allah Ta'ala blessed him to make istighfar and tawbah and become a pious friend of Allah Ta'ala. This is the story of how Hazrat Abdullah bin Marzooq rahimahullah changed his life. One day, Abdullah bin Marzooq was busy listening to music. While he was busy in the sun, he missed his Zuhr, Asr and Maghrib salahs. When it was the time for Zuhr,
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
one of his slave girls came to him and reminded him to perform his Zuhr Salah. But he was so busy listening to music that he did not listen to her and did not perform his Salah. Then, when it was the time for Asr, the slave girl came to him again and reminded him to perform his Asr Salah. But he was so busy listening to music that he did not listen to her and did not perform his Asr Salah. Finally, when it was the time for Maghrib, the slave girl came to him for the third time and reminded him to perform his Salah. But at this time also, he was so busy listening to music that he did not listen to her and did not perform his Salah. Eventually, when even the time of Isha had passed, and Abdullah bin Marzooq missed his Isha Salah as well, his slave girl took a burning coal from the fireplace and placed it on his foot. As soon as the burning coal touched his foot, he shouted out in pain and asked her, "What are you doing? Why are you burning me?" The slave girl replied, "When you cannot manage being burnt by the fire of this world, then how will you manage being burnt by the fire of Jahannam, which is far hotter and more painful?" When Abdullah bin Marzooq heard this advice from his slave girl, he was affected and began to cry. He felt very bad and very sad that he had been committing sins and did not read so many salah. He realized that he needed to change his life and become pious. He turned to Allah Ta'ala in dua, made istighfar for his sins, and performed all the salah which he had missed. Then he stopped all the sins that he was committing. He also took some of his money and gave it away in sadaqah to make Allah Ta'ala happy. From that day on, he began to lead a simple life with little money. From this story, we learn a few important lessons. The first lesson is that Salah is the second pillar of Islam and is very, very important. We must never ever miss our Salah. Men must make sure that they read their Salah in the masjid with Jamaat, and women must make sure that they read their Salah on time at home. The second lesson is that listening to music is a big sin and it weakens a person's iman. We must never listen to music. And finally, if we leave out sins and haram things to make Allah Ta'ala happy, then Allah Ta'ala will give us far better in this world and in Jannah as well. The end.